ESPN. I like ESPN.com. Some people don't, but I do. And I go and look at it, and the top story is Commanders suspend VP of content, whatever, Rael Enteen or whatever the hell his name is. And they say they announced Wednesday that they had suspended the vice president of content. So you go, ooh, why are they talking about the vice president of content? Isn't this interesting? Like, this is not, he must have done something terrible. And you go, Enteen was shown talking about players being homophobic and said some of them are dumb as hell. And you go, what in God's name? Did he get drunk and take over the Instagram of the Commanders and start saying all these terrible things about people? What happened? Oh, no, it was in a video. Oh, was he in a public meeting? Did he get into a press conference and start espousing about all these player problems? No. It was taken by a hidden camera by O'Keefe Media during what appeared to be a date with a woman who works for the company. And so what the O'Keefe Media, which is a big right-wing media thing, it's special interest groups. They've done this before.
OMG is what he calls his outlet, and American Swiper, which is a play on American Sniper.
Right.
But if you're going to be one of these, soldiers working for OMG, I believe you are then called an American Swiper.
So he's been accused. He's done this to NPR before. He's been accused of doctoring videos. He had nonprofits that they made not nonprofits anymore. He's been removed from jobs. But he's got like millions. He's got something going on because he's got millions of Twitter followers, and apparently this is the thing. So whatever. What this guy does, this woman got on Hinge, and which is a dating app, and I don't know how this all happened, but I guess the vice president of content for the Commanders, I don't know if she went on a date with him for real and then found out what he did. Because they went on a few dates. So they're at dinner. He's on a date with her, and she's secretly filming him.
Yes, the videos were taken during 2 dates in June in Washington. O'Keefe said that Enteen and the woman who filmed the interactions met on the dating app, and I got to believe that she sought him out specifically for this purpose.
I don't know, because he's got such a random job. Like, I guess maybe she was on Hinge and saw that, but I don't know if he'd put on Hinge. Maybe he would because it gives him value. But whatever the reason, he met her on Hinge. He thought that this was a woman that he was going to date, and she's filming him. And for all of you out there, you might have a job that's very similar to this. He's not some big shot. He happens to work for an NFL team, but you may happen to work for Johnson & Johnson. You may happen to work for an entity that's very, very large. And if you're all of a sudden getting taped saying stuff at dinner, here's what he said. I don't even know if it's important, and I don't even know if we should play it. I don't want to play it. So, but I'll play. I guess I will play it. Here we go. Here's what he had to say.
Your description of the Commanders players.
Over 50% of our roster, right, is either white religious, and God says the gays. Another big chunk is very low-income African-American that comes from a community that is inherently very homophobic.
So she obviously has asked him about the gay values of the NFL. Like, she's obviously set him up to talk about gay values, because this O'Keefe Media, this is what they do, is like they'll have someone from NPR on and they'll like ask him a bunch of questions to like get him into a situation where they say something. But he's on a date, and she obviously said, hey, this, by the way, isn't like the total raw audio of it. This is they're cutting things up. But she obviously asked him about how the NFL is about gay players, and he said a lot of the white players are religious, and a lot of the African-American players, he used the word African-American too, the term African-American, are from low-income areas and are homophobic. Okay?
Would you say most people who work at the NFL, with you as the exception of your former boss, would you say that they're just not very smart?
There's just obviously a spectrum, but I've met some very, very smart people.
What about like the players?
There's some that are like dumb as all hell. Most of the fans, I would say, are.
So she asked if he thinks the players are smart. I mean, Jesus Christ. And then he's out having drinks with this lady. And then she asks about the fans, and he says this.
They are high school educated alcoholics.
So they're like lower class people.
I mean, setting them up.
I hate to use that term. I would just say mouth breathers. I know, it's way worse. My job is to sell hope to the fans, right? I need them buying tickets. When there's not much hope to sell, I still gotta dig deep to find it.
Why do you think there's not much hope to sell right now?
Because we had like pipes leaking sewage on our fans in the middle of the game. And I have to put out a social post saying like, it wasn't sewage water, we promised. That is state-run media.
Right. So what he says is unforgivable. It's the worst thing ever. And so what happened? So what? And then if you read, I got two big problems with this. One is the biggest. If you're ESPN or the New York Times, why are you reporting on this? This is insanity. Okay? If you have a job, any job, and someone tapes you in a personal conversation and it's released on the internet, edited up, or transcribed, I got news for you. No one's on your side. Everything you say, everyone's going to white knight over, because when they read it on the internet, they feel infallible, and it was, of course, something they'd never say. And it's completely unfair. And when you're put in that situation, which you could be, because you could be this guy, guess what? The internet's not going to be behind you. And you're going to have to deal with thousands and thousands of people crapping on you because you were having a discussion with some girl you wanted to have sex with over drinks while she was secretly taping you and setting you up. And now that the New York Times and ESPN, it's on the front page. This O'Keefe Media, whatever, it's what the guy does. People will exist like this. So he releases this video out. You sue him. People have sued him before. You sue him. The guy's going to sue him from the Commanders. I mean, there's no way that this is legal. So he's going to probably sue him. Who knows if he'll win. But so now this guy, he's got to shut down all his stuff. And now this guy, for having 2 dates with a lady, has got to sit there and deal with this fallback, because these O'Keefe people are these like lunatic, right wing, like crazy people, just the same as there's lunatic left wing people that come after me. I'll tell you, and I grew up in it. I've been, since I was younger, been doing this, so you get sort of accustomed to it. This guy's just got some job. You could be him. You could be him. If you're a girl, you're a boy, you could be him.
Yes, you could be the Commander's content creator and find yourself in this position, because this O'Keefe guy, he does webinars teaching people how to become American swipers. And this is what he says in one of his descriptions. One of the most effective ways to access these people and the people they want are powerful people who they want to expose powerful people keeping secrets for the wrong reasons. One of the most effective ways to access these people is to swipe right on dating apps. Some of our biggest and most impactful hard-hitting journalism has come from undercover journalists meeting subjects this way.
Impactful. Very.
It's undercover journalism. So this is what they teach you in school. This is undercover journalism.
This is Northwestern stuff.
Many of you have expressed interest in doing this type of journalism. Now's the time to do something about it. On our latest webinar, you'll need everything you know to get started, and we may even publish and pay for your work. Oh! You might even get paid for doing this, as opposed to just going on dating apps and swiping right and then recording private conversations and then putting them out there. And
if you read these people on Twitter, it's as if they, like, when they have personal conversations with people, or when they're talking not in a business or public area, that they would never say anything that would spark any controversy. I mean, the woman asked him about the homophobia of players. First of all, so it obviously doesn't even matter what he says. But if a girl that you're like trying to charm goes like, "Oh, you work for the NFL," and you start talking about, you're going to talk like you know Roger Goodell. You're going to say a bunch of stuff to try to impress her. I mean, you're not lying or anything, but you're you're trying to present your best self. You're trying to be charming and funny. It's a date. Like you're trying to do this. She's expressing interest in your job, so you're talking about it. The guy seems relatively smart. Like he's not saying anything, whatever what he's saying. I mean, if you're offended by it, good. I didn't say it, but the idea that now this is like what ESPN and the New York Times runs with, that's great. That's great. This nobody got taped on what he thought was a date, set up with questions, and now his life is temporarily ruined. I mean, it's not going to be ruined forever. I'm telling you, please tell him if you know him. This will get better at a certain point. But we are losing control. We are really, really, really losing control. And I've heard people far smarter than me pontificate about this. We're in an experiment with media right now, with everyone having access to just put out whatever they want, where we're failing. We are failing. There are no checks and balances for anything anymore. It's the Wild West. And what could have been, if we were a better species, a great place for free ideas that united the world, has become the opposite. And we can't handle it. It's an experiment we can't handle. It's effing up our kids. It's effing up us. And now we're just ruining lives. And it's not just like the O'Keefe guy can do whatever he wants. Like, all right, fine. And then you'll have to pay the consequences and sue people. And if you can live with yourself and you think this gets you into heaven, God bless you. But you're going to put this on ESPN? Because none of us would have known about this if it was just on this O'Keefe media.
Right.
It's the ESPN and the New York Times reporting on it. And then I went to so I go, who's O'Keefe Media? I've never heard of it. And he's bragging about how the New York Times put about it, because that's the goal. Again, first of all, it wouldn't be fair if it was Roger Goodell on a date and they were taping him without his knowledge. But this is just a dude with a job who happens to work for a big company. And he's not like, the coach or anything like that. This could be you. You could work at Valvoline and, then all of a sudden someone tapes you, you say something, and then they release it, and then Valvoline, they go, look at what this person at Valvoline does, that Valvoline makes $10 billion a year, and look at what their people are saying.
Well, it's more likely to be you, Fred, because you're the one on the dating apps, and you're the one who's going to get catfished into one of these situations.
But believe me, it's occurred to me.
Yeah.
Now it's occurred to me.
Have you ever?
Now, you know what I'm going to do? If I'm on a date, I'm going to go, are you taping me? I swear to God, I'll go, are you taping me?
And she's going to say, no.
Okay. And then
what? And if she has been taping you the whole time, what recourse do you have?
I'll sue him for $10 million. And then I won't have to work anymore.
Who are you going to sue? Sue everybody.
O'Keefe Media.
Well, but she's an independent contractor.
No,
he's doing webinars.
Yeah, but if it's published by O'Keefe Media, then they are ultimately responsible, I would imagine.
I don't know if just asking if you're being recorded is your safety, is your ultimate safety.
I thought it was like if you ask someone if they're a cop.
No, I don't think you have to.
By the way, it doesn't have to be a date, ladies and gentlemen. For your edification, you could just be out with people and they could be taping you. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be a date.
Great.
While that does affect me, it does affect married people too that aren't cheating on their spouses, because I believe that you're sometimes in social situations that aren't. Your belief is they're not being taped, and anything you say to someone, I can only tell you this: anything you say in a relaxed conversation, when transcribed or taped and put out to a public audience, is going to come off where they hate you. Okay? Because there's no context. And everyone wants to be pissed. And it's one thing when it happens to people like on the radio or television, because we know we're being on the radio and television, and there's a lot of times, most of the time, it's a bunch of garbage that people are upset about. But the idea that now you can't meet someone in public and have a natural conversation without fear of massive repercussions, no matter what you say. I don't care if he went on and on and on about being in the Ku Klux Klan. It's ludicrous that this is the standard of journalism now, and this is the world that we live in. Everyone's comfortable with this. Well, I never say anything. Oh, you do. You do. You do.
Someone lists your text messages to your friends.
I swear to you, even if you're a reverend of the highest moral fiber, anything that you say casually about any topic that people disagree on, when transcribed or put on the internet, is going to get met with a negative reaction, a swell of negative reaction. And it's going to happen to all of you. All of you. Even say you're the most liberal person in the world, and you're sitting there and you're like, this guy, and you're like, oh, the NFL's not fair to gay people. He's getting fired. He's suspended. So guess what?
He's going to be.
Hey, freedom fighters. Hey. This guy's a right-wing lunatic. And all you left-wing lunatics too. All of you. You're all saying stuff all the time that's going to piss a bunch of people off.
But what I don't understand is who they're trying to take down with this. Like, what is O'Keefe?
That's why it's
OMG?
scary.
It's like they just want everything to burn.
Well,
it's
selfish. You said it yourself earlier. It's to gain attention for his media outlet.
No, but what Hardy's point is too is it's like not like when he did it to NPR, he was trying to screw with public funding for NPR.
Right.
Like this is just like this woman randomly found, and this, by the way, I never even knew about the NPR thing because I'm an idiot that doesn't pay attention to the news. The only reason I know about this is because it was reported on ESPN, and then I Googled it, and it was reported by the New York Times. It's crazy. We're failing. We are failing as a society. We can't handle the internet, ladies and gentlemen. We can't handle it. We can't handle the internet. It's gotten too far away from us. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because the other things are like inherently political that this guy has gone after, whether it's
and been sued successfully for, and there's been like congressional hearings about it.
Yeah, this one I don't get. I don't see what public good is being served by this. I guess maybe if there was in fact raw sewage being dripped down on people, but I thought they had pretty much figured that one out.
And if you're someone
that's not news.
If you're someone who lives online, just like, that fire this guy and do this and do that, it's going to come back on you. I swear to God, it's going to come back on you. It's cosmically and literally going to come back on you. Go ahead.
I'm getting this email and tweet thing. A little is on him because this sounds like a full-fledged interview the way she's asking him in terms of language and tone.
He's under no. That's ridiculous.
I know.
I'm responding to it.
Yeah.
I'm responding to what you just said.
Yeah.
That's absolutely ridiculous, and the idea that you feel that way is maniacal. That you should be under the impression that you're being interviewed while you're on a date. You're being taped and interviewed for the public and for ESPN and the New York Times every time you go out in public. Come on. It's not on him in any way, shape, or form. It's not on him. And shame on the Commanders for suspending him.
Joe Dre brings up an important point. It would have been fine had the woman just asked if it was okay to use this for the internet. And if you ask ahead of time,
that's why we have to do that.
Is it okay if we use this for the internet? Mm-hmm. And then boom.
And if she taped it in Virginia or DC, it's a two-way consent state. So she broke the law.
Pretty much every place is, other than what, Arizona?
In Nevada, I think. Nevada.
Oh yeah, Nevada. That's why the Crank Yankers guys used to tape their stuff at our station.
And I'm not positive you can tape someone on video in Nevada and release it. I know you can do calls. Calls
they did from
Nevada.
I
mean, this really pisses me off, and it's not even the O'Keefe people that piss me off. It's just we're all, and I'm no better than anyone else, but we're all really just bad people. We're just bad people. We're bad people. We're so judgmental and so on high horses about everything, myself included. It's really something else. Like no one can say anything that someone else doesn't like. Then their lives have to be ruined. You all do it. We all do it. Read the effing Bible. Read the Bible. The Bible says that we're infinitely fallible. What?
No, we're done.
I didn't think you were going there. That's okay.
No, but if these people are religious inherently, aren't you to be forgiven? Aren't we to forgive our neighbor's sins? Isn't it a basic tenet of Christianity that you're supposed to forgive? I mean, if these guys are these huge religious people that are coming down on everyone for being so sinful, isn't the whole thing to forgive and that we're all fallible?
I'm not getting into a Bible quoting contest with these people. No, I'm sure there's stuff that would support either side.
It seems like a basic thing is to
of course
turn the
they're
other
bad
cheek.
people. Yes,
To turn the other cheek, I believe, is a.
but it's
is
most
something.
troubling that there's so many people just look at these videos and say, "Oh, the guy in the video, he's a bad person." No. What about How about this whole community and this whole obsession with going out and being one of these hidden camera warriors, just getting anyone to say anything under the guise of a private conversation and then ruining their lives as a result?
As if that's somehow.
how is that being a good person?
Yeah, that's so moral and so like religious and so like on point with all
They
religion.
suck. They suck.